Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Neal here from Bachelorette Nation News. We have a breaking news story. This is actually extremely fascinating. Now, before you hold your judgment, we're going to get into what the heck is going down with Tayshia Adams. She deletes an Instagram story that she was traveling to Southern California for Christmas. Why would this matter? Why is this a big deal? It isn't necessarily an indictment that Tayshia did something wrong. She's not tested positive for COVID. She's allowed to travel per CDC guidelines. That's absolutely all okay. Well, 48 hours ago, less than 48 hours ago, she took to Instagram saying she was exposed to people that have contracted COVID and out of an abundance of caution decided not to be a part of the After the Final Rose, which is okay. If you're exposed to someone who has COVID, it's good to not go to work. That is absolutely what we want during this pandemic. The question is, why was she in New York hours before she's supposed to be at the After the Final Rose performance, which is the biggest moment of her professional career? This is the Super Bowl for what she's doing. Why was she still in New York? Either A, they held onto the story, which you should never do, but they did that for PR moves because they didn't want to announce she wasn't going to be a part of it, or something more sinister was up, not necessarily blaming Tayshia. Now, I've gotten comments, we'll get to them, bashing me for this thought on Tuesday. Now, listen, I understand. It's a delicate line between reporting news and also bringing humor to a situation. I said, oh, wouldn't we all love to cancel out of work? Absolutely. Which, of course, is me being facetious. If she was exposed, she should have not been traveling there. Stephanie says, being exposed is such a popular excuse. Hilarious, she's using it. It's a popular excuse in many circumstances, but it's also a good one to use. I want to completely just remind everyone that we want safety to be the number one priority here. So we've got Tayshia here. As you can see, she's got no Instagram happening right now, no stories. She posted this hours ago. She had posted and deleted what I shared with you guys right here. So now let's go. And by the way, as just, all of these short versions of these stories, I'm now putting on my Instagram Reels. Basically just a vertical version of what I already do, but catered specifically to Instagram. So make sure you go to Instagram at DNeals if you just want those quick updates or to comment over there. So I made this video on... let's go to it. I made this video on Tuesday. Breaking news, Tayshia out tonight. I made this 30 minutes before I was going live for my channel. I made it a 3.5 minute video, very quick. Obviously, some people said, pretty suspicious, and others said, no, New York City's a dumpster fire right now. No one's getting tested. To which my thought was, if you work for ABC, owned by Disney, one of the largest multimedia companies in the world, entertainment companies in the world, you not only get tested, they drive it straight to you, and you get the best tests and doctors in the world. She has not tested positive for COVID. She has not tested positive. And now I am not saying it's, like I said, I'm being redundant for the sake of not having to read some of the comments that are going to accuse me of, being misogynist. Is Dave Neal too misogynistic and biased to understand this? If Tayshia has been exposed to COVID, of course she has to withdraw from contact with others. Absolutely understand this. These comments were sent before today where Tayshia says, I'm just going to travel to California. Either you decide to self-quarantine, or you don't. Now, this was sent to me at 9:51 a.m. I'm recording this at 12:55 p.m. A story of Tayshia traveling, which has since been deleted. Again, here is the thumbnail from the story right here. Looks like she didn't get COVID from her possible exposure. My response to suspicion continues. She said, funny that she's going to LA just days after she was supposed to be there for After the Final Rose. Fishy, fishy. Her story is now deleted. You didn't save it, did you? She said, darn, I didn't. But the good people at Reddit did. Tayshia is maskless in the airport after being exposed to COVID. Now, listen, obviously, if you're in an airport, you're supposed to have your mask on. Absolutely. I'm not gonna judge her for taking the mask off to take a photo. Not at all. She could have been in a safe, socially distanced area. Not judging her one bit there. I'm also not judging her for traveling after having received a negative COVID test, assuming she got a negative COVID test. Technically, per CDC guidelines, a quarantine is not issued to a fully vaccinated individual, so she's not breaking a quarantine by being out right now. I want you guys to call in. Let me know what you think about all this. 401-213-9828. Please just let me know. Just be as, graceful as possible to understand. We're not blaming Tayshia for traveling. We're not blaming Tayshia for not making the After the Final Rose. We're simply asking the question, why wasn't she in California days, if not a week ahead of time before the taping. And I know what people say. She's a busy woman. She's got other sponsorships. After the final rose is the Super Bowl of hosting opportunities for her. You understand? She essentially, by not being there, let Caitlyn crush as host. Caitlyn Bristowe crushed. The job's hers if she wants it. She could be hosting Dancing with the Stars. She could be doing so many different live jobs. She's just got the it factor. You can't find that. It doesn't, people don't understand the different red lights hitting you and the reading the teleprompters and getting a joke in when something doesn't go right. That was great. Now, Tayshia and Caitlyn were doing good, with their hosting duties. The last live several weeks ago, the Men Tell All, Tayshia was asked, of course, by Caitlyn about her breakup with Zach, which was recorded several months ago, or at least a month and a half ago. Tayshia walked off crying. Caitlyn got a lot of criticism for asking her about that question. Afterwards, Caitlyn responded to Morgan, the TikToker and Instagrammer, defending herself, saying, I wouldn't have asked her that question if she didn't want to. Tayshia and production asked me to ask that question. Could there be a scenario where Tayshia feels like production did a dirty on her? Maybe. Could there be a scenario where production didn't want Tayshia to be there and she said, all right, you live in New York, you've probably been exposed, just stay tight? Absolutely. I don't think by questioning the narrative here that there's some sort of greater questioning of the seriousness of the pandemic. I'm double vaxxed. I received my booster shots a month plus ago, and I'm taking this pandemic extremely seriously. I'm questioning that the idea that she couldn't make it to the after the final rose is met by a 48 hours later being on a flight to the same city in which she wasn't allowed to go to. Now, there could be a scenario where the production, which will fly them out, says, you know what, we're not buying your flight. We're not allowing you to fly. Even though it's legal, we're not allowing you to fly. Then when Tayshia decides to fly home on her own, she's able to take those risks because it's still legal. Absolutely. That could be a scenario. The question is why she deleted this post, and we're hoping that she comes up with or gives us an answer so that we're not just like begging for questions, begging for answers here that might be the wrong one. Sometimes the simplest answer is the truth. It's just like, let's not overthink things. But in other cases, we have that BS meter up and we wonder what the heck is going down over here. Some other comments. Lots of assumptions being made here. Well, let's go back. She said she was exposed to someone with COVID, and out of an abundance of caution, she didn't come. She never said she had COVID, and I'm sure she took a test to confirm that. She's clearly in an airport lounge restaurant drinking water, so I haven't been traveling in a couple of months, but I thought that was still okay. That's all okay? No one, there's no problem there. Lots of assumptions being made here in defense of Tayshia, but to play devil's advocate, it's recommended after a potential exposure if you're symptomless to get tested within 3 to 5 days and immediately if you have symptoms. I wouldn't be proudly posting an Instagram story without a mask on if I were here right now, but again, none of us know when she was exposed and how if she was tested. That is true. We don't know when she was exposed. This is where I was confused. Tuesday morning, she's posting about how excited she is for after the final rose. Later that day, she announces she was exposed and won't be on the live show. That was 2 days ago. Yes, we don't know exactly when she was exposed, but she surely did not quarantine for 3 to 5 days to guarantee an accurate test. I love Tayshia, but this post is not going to go over well. Maskless, sitting in an airport with tons of other people hoping to go home safely for the holidays. Drinking, right? I know these are super tense times, but like no one should be arguing that she should be wearing a mask while drinking water or at a restaurant. But I think it's pretty suspect that she took the potential COVID exposure seriously enough to not attend after the final rose, but not seriously enough to stop traveling. Again, that's what it comes down to is who's being hypocritical here? Is it Tayshia or was the production not wanting her to come and they used it as an excuse? So just to reiterate some of your comments I received from the first video, I don't hide from your comments. I just choose which to reply to. Someone asking if I'm misogynistic and biased to understand the chain of events does not warrant a response to me based on the video that I made. You're making something out of this to get people to click. This is from Tuesday, of course, to which I think we're still talking about it. As a normal person living in New York, it's almost impossible to get tested right now. I completely agree. Tayshia is not a normal person. She's able to have these tests delivered to her apartment 3 times an hour if she wants, or if ABC wants. I feel she's not handling her personal issues well, and they don't want her potential actions to overshadow Michelle's time. Very interesting. Is it just me or is everyone getting sick right now? A lot of my friends are sick and resting for COVID. Maybe it's an excuse after what happened at the tell-all. Maybe she was told to sit this one out. It's a thought. It's a thought. But yes, everyone is getting sick. I've got so many close friends right now that have tested positive, and my thoughts and truly are out with anyone. If anyone's in LA and needs, I'm only in Los Angeles, but if anyone needs soup delivered or and needs me to run to CVS to get a pharmacy prescription, literally my DMs are open. We would be nothing but happy to help anyone else. We'll leave it at your doorstep. Whatever can be done if you're alone and can't be with your family for the holidays. Absolutely, we want everyone to be safe and not expose grandma, grandpa, or anyone else. My fiance, we've got family coming here that have that are considered high risk, and the last thing we want, we'll be testing every single day leading up to them arriving to make sure that we are not passing this on to anyone who could potentially get sicker than we are. Or we're not, but that are at higher risk. Even if she tested negative, it doesn't mean she doesn't have it. My brother tested negative on Saturday after being exposed on Thursday and came back negative. Then he started to feel sick and got retested on Monday and came back positive. Of course, the testing is not completely accurate, or the incubation period could be longer. We don't really know. Of course, these things are all true. I'm just reading this to kind of help people out so there's no misinformation. Tony says Tayshia was exposed, Dave. This is, again, these are comments from Tuesday. The right thing to do is to stay away. I don't understand why that isn't a given. It's very irresponsible for anyone to suggest otherwise. My answer was, sounds suspect to me. After the final rose, shoots in LA. She announced hours before that she's exposed and staying in New York City. That's odd. Someone replied, Dave, you appear inconsistent with your replies. Were you joking or is still suspecting? If we're clear, perhaps we don't cause confusion to people, especially if it relates to critical situations. Let's be responsible in whatever capacity. I completely agree that we need to be as responsible as possible when talking about this. My answer was, yes, I feel it is suspicious. I was joking about her having to dodge work. Oh, you got COVID, you get to dodge work. How great. Of course, she doesn't want to miss after the final rose. Of course, why would she want to miss it? This is a pinnacle moment for her career. That's why I question what the heck actually went down there. Someone said, this is strange. Something is up with this. Regine, that's all I got to say. Question mark, question mark, question mark. And then, of course, Stephanie, as we showed you before, said being exposed is such a popular excuse. Well, until we have any more information, let's see if we have any new comments on that Reddit thread just to see if there's any more information while we're recording. Otherwise, I hope that everyone has a safe and happy holiday season, travel safely, and just my objective here is not to clickbait or to cause fear or any unnecessary drama. It's just to wonder, what is the story going on over there, where 1 second they don't want her to attend, and the next second they're okay with her traveling, and then of course the deleted post. For sure this will be met with a follow-up. I hate to say it, but someone in Tayshia's shoes as a host of one of the biggest reality shows in the world is held to a standard where if she should be self-quarantining and if she should be taking it seriously, she was not. If the COVID, out of an abundance of caution was complete BS, then we need to know that too. Which one is it? And my thought, if I had to put money on it, is that the Bachelor producers, in one way or another, didn't want her there after the final rose. And let's just hope that we get down to the information. All right, folks, let me know what you guys think. Of course, leave a voicemail if you want, 401-213-9828. It's the Christmas season. All I ask is that you keep it respectful and gracious in the comment section. And if you want to see the making of this video, you can go to patreon.com/Dave Neal and watch the behind the scenes of pulling the different clips and graphics and discussing how we're going to attack this story. It means a lot to me that we get it right. I hope you guys appreciate this content. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll talk to you all in a little bit.